Hey the Ramblers and Rovers, I am Miguel, and this is New Braunfels, Texas. Today we're wandering New Braunfels here in Texas. New Braunfels is a historic old little jewel box of a town that was originally settled by German immigrants in the 1840s. So my family dropped me off here because I didn't want to go shopping with them in nearby San Marcos, so I just decided to wander this town, see what it has to offer, and maybe show you a little bit of what New Braunfels and Texas has to offer. I know most of you who follow me and watch my videos are from the US. This might be an interesting perspective to experience your own country from the lens of somebody who's not from the US. And for all of you people from other parts of the world, this is an amazing opportunity to see what life is like in small town Texas. So let's start exploring. I guess I timed this perfectly. So we're starting off here in the main square of New Braunfels with this amazing gazebo and this beautiful early 20th century fountain here in the back. I'm liking the feel of the town overall. I mean, from what I've been seeing until I got here. So what makes this such an interesting place to visit is that everything is kind of this mix of Old West and German. So there's this interesting cultural mix here that really makes New Braunfels a unique place to visit here in central Texas. New Braunfels is located only around half an hour away from San Antonio, Texas. It's a nice day trip to do out of San Antonio and just kind of get a sense for, you know, like the history and culture that is outside of like the large urban centers. I've actually been wanting to visit this city for the longest time. Me and my family grew up going to South Padre Island and just kind of exploring southern Texas a lot. We used to go there maybe 4 or 5 times a year. I used to always see brochures of New Braunfels because they were trying to promote the tourism to this town, and this is the first time I've been here, and I've been wanting to come here since like forever, literally forever. So I'm excited to explore this little town to see what it has to offer. We're right in the middle of the downtown here. The commercial area is closer to the highway, so we're going to be exploring this area, and I saw that there's this cool little park with like a river running through it and some trails, so we'll check that out too and see if we can find some cool places to haunt during our stay. You know, I saw there was this like old saloon, so there's like all these quirky little, cool little things to explore around here. Murals, all kinds of stuff. So just a bit about the history of New Braunfels. New Braunfels was founded in 1845 by all these German immigrants who came from the town of Braunfels in Germany near the Kamal River. They gathered several ships and all these different immigrants, and they all kind of mass migrated into Texas at the same time, and they founded this town way back in the 1840s. Over time it attracted more Germans and grew to eventually become the 4th largest city in Texas. So it was a very important town, not just like this like little way station, but like an actual thriving community with bakers, brewers, you know, all kinds of professions making their home here and just building this thriving community. So there's definitely an Oktoberfest theme going on here. You can tell that this is the town to be in for Oktoberfest here in Texas. They're really leading into this whole German vibe thing, for sure. You could be in a beer garden in Germany or New Braunfels, Texas. Many of the buildings here in New Braunfels look very, very old. I wouldn't be surprised if many of them date back to the 1800s, or at the very, very least, very early 20th century. I mean, just some of these houses just look like pioneer houses, you know, just from way back in the day. I just really like that the town really does preserve not only its German heritage, as we saw. I mean, we walked into like a real beer garden. I mean, an Americanized version of it, but it's a beer garden. And just kind of really leans into this like Old West, pioneer, frontier kind of like vibe. I mean, great if you have kids. I'm sure, you know, kids would love to explore like a little town like this. It really is like almost like a themed town. There are just so many murals here in New Braunfels. They really decorated the town. I don't know if it's by the same person who's been doing the murals all over, but they really have made a great effort to decorate the town. We're right by the old train station here. I mean, very frontier-like, picturesque, evocative. You have the luggage carts here. I believe this is a museum. Yep, precisely, New Braunfels Railroad Museum. So you can totally just go inside here if you're like a, you know, train enthusiast. Alright, so seeing that train pass so close by just really inspired me to go into the museum. So it's donation based, so it's free. So if you have kids, you know, and you're trying to travel on a buck, this is the perfect thing to do. Let's see. So they have these amazing model trains here at the Railway Museum here in New Braunfels. If you have any kids, this is, I'm sure they're going to be fascinated by the little trains running around and around, which they're going to start for us. You actually have this really cool steam locomotive here. So, I mean, again, if you have kids, this is just kind of perfect to teach them about history, culture, you know, transportation, and just kind of how things were done back in the day. So you can actually go inside these train cars and just get a sense for how it would have been to travel around during the golden age of travel. Oh, and you can see immediately, just right off the bat, it would have been quite luxurious. I'm guessing this would have been like a dining car. It's just kind of like going into like an actual like little diner. Very beautiful details and on the car. In my opinion, this would have been way better than air travel nowadays. I mean, you at least have legroom, right? Oh my god, guys, so I just found this really cool mural. So this is a mural celebrating like the Mexican and Hispanic heritage of this part of Texas. So as you can see, there's this Mexican flag, and you have like the Virgin of Guadalupe here, and also you have these images of the original conquistadors who made their way here to Texas. They were some of the first Europeans to set foot here in this part of Texas. And right here in this plaque, there's a curious little thing. It says here, it mentions General Alonso de Leon, the conquistador of Texas, who named the Guadalupe River. We actually descend from this conquistador. So my mom comes from a small town near Monterrey in northeastern Mexico, and General Alonso de Leon was the founder of, or one of the founders of that town. So we actually descend from this conquistador general. So this fun fact, this general was sent here to this part of Texas by the Viceroy of New Spain. You know, before Mexico, it used to be the Viceroyalty of New Spain. So he got sent here to Texas to destroy this village of French people who had settled in the Texan coast, so that the French would not have a claim on Texas. So that's how he ended up exploring a great part of Texas and is known as one of the conquistadors of Texas. Nice to have some kind of connection to this land. I don't know if I'm really proud of like what my conquistador ancestors did, but you know. So another fun fact is that Mexican vaqueros, which is the word for, you know, people who are cattle herders, were the original cowboys. So the Mexicans who inhabited these lands were some of the original cowboys. So Mexicans actually taught Americans how to be cowboys, and many of the traditions that people now associate with cowboys actually came from old Spanish writing traditions, which obviously got passed into Mexican culture and then afterwards into American culture. So things like the kind of saddles that you would use, how to lasso and rope cattle, you know, using silver spurs, like all these things actually come from Spanish writing culture. I mean, this really looks like a town from the Old West. These very old buildings from, like, you know, early like 1910s, 1920s, or even earlier, some of them. And you can just kind of imagine like this dusty road back in the day with like the horses going up and down, carriages, just the sound of the train over there in the station. So just like a frontier boom town that is now a tourism hotspot here in Texas. We still have these rich baking traditions here from the time of the German immigrants who brought over these recipes all the way from Europe. You can still taste these delights even today. Just that.
Alrighty.
So here at the bakery, we got this delicious kolache. Let's give it a try. Oh my god, it's delicious. So this bakery is one of Texas' oldest bakeries that is still in operation, and you can see why. It's just so delicious. And it's, I believe, blueberry. It's almost like eating like a biscuit with a bit of like a sugary glaze on it, and then the blueberry jam. So worth it. So I think we're gonna swing around the outer edge of the downtown, see if we can find like some cool historic homes to show you, which I'm actually seeing right now. Yeah, so you have all these cool historic homes. I can actually see the plaques on some of these houses designating them as historic landmarks. These would have probably been the homes of many of the town's original inhabitants, the original settlers or their descendants. They're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful houses. What we are exploring is the downtown area and like that area around the downtown. Ooh, very, very beautiful house. I was just kind of talking to some of the locals, and they're saying that New Braunfels is really growing, almost as a suburb of San Antonio, even though San Antonio is like 30 minutes away, more or less. This used to be, looks like an old mill. Seems like this town really is growing a lot more closer to the highway and that area of the town. But if you want to really see like the historic touristy part of it, you have to come here to the downtown where you have all these cool old houses. So it says that this house is from the 1870s, and there was one back there from the age of the Civil War. It's very beautiful old like houses here. Now we're on our way to explore some of that rugged Texan countryside. We're going to go to the park, see the Kamal River that runs through New Braunfels, and see if we can catch a hiking trail or two, see if we can just kind of get out in nature and just explore that side of New Braunfels too. I'm really enjoying like the spaces, like the suburban country feel to like this part of the town. Like I'm hearing like a couple of people like passing by just like blasting their country music, so it's just kind of like very evocative. I guess for Americans you wouldn't really find it like that interesting, but for people who are not from the US, this is kind of what you want to see, just kind of how like real people live in these places and just kind of get a feel for like this kind of like Western Texan kind of like culture. This is just so typical of what I'll do. I'll just be wandering around the place and I will just get so excited about like an old house or something. But I forgot to mention that one of the biggest attractions to New Braunfels is the water park Schlitterbahn. Schlitterbahn is basically German for waterway or like sliding way, or it's like sliding road. It's like that would be the literal translation of it. So as you can see back here, it's themed after a German town. Right now it's closed for the winter, otherwise I'd try to show you some more footage of it. But this is one of the things that you can do here in New Braunfels, especially if you come here for like the spring, summer, when it's just hottest places because it's Texas. This is the biggest attraction in New Braunfels. So I don't know why I just got so enraptured with like the history and culture of the town that I just kind of forgot to mention it up until this point. But it's right here, right next to the Kamal River and this cool little recreation area, which we're gonna go check right now. You could totally float down the Kamal River. Such a Texan thing to do, just kind of take a floaty and just go down the river. It says you can do it on Saturdays, Sundays, and like some holidays. It also kind of makes New Braunfels like the perfect day trip during the weekend, especially during the hotter months. You can just kind of take a floaty and like float down the river, go to Schlitterbahn, get a beer at like the beer garden, go to one of the many quirky restaurants around town which offer like country dining. There's just like a lot of cool things to do here. So we're here by the Kamal River, actually one of the shortest rivers in Texas, as I was reading back there. Even though it's a couple days before New Year's, it is so hot. So I can imagine taking a dip in this river during the hot spring, summer months would be the absolute perfect thing to do here in New Braunfels to just kind of cool off from that Texas heat. I mean, the water's just so clear. You can see right into the bottom and you can see all kinds of fish just flittering around. And so this is the river that you can float down on with your floaties. Absolutely perfect. I really want to come back here during the summer. I am so bummed that we came here during the winter. But even then, I mean, you're seeing people swimming. It's just so cool. It's just such a cool area. This has to be one of my favorite areas of town, along with the downtown. I mean, this really is a recreation area. I mean, people are fishing, people are swimming, people are picnicking, or just lying on the grass, taking in the sun, swimming, just all kinds of things you can do here. The walkway right next to the Kamal River really is the perfect place to go, as we say in German, spazieren gehen. just go and enjoy like a nice leisurely walk. Oh my god, I could totally see being a teenager in New Braunfels and just kind of coming out here for a date with this like romantic river, maybe taking in a dip and floating down the river. Oh my god, just, I don't know, in my mind, quintessentially Texas. So now we're taking a leisurely stroll through the woods here next to the river. I am seeing so many like big fish in it. So beautiful, especially on like such a clear day like this, when the water's so placid. You can just see like everything in there. There's just so much vegetation and it just has like a ton of color. I mean, it's taken me a while, but I've been walking basically everywhere. I mean, around the downtown, so you don't even have to be like moving the car too much. Everything is just kind of like, you know, I would say pretty accessible. So there are different parts to the river. This one has this dam here, and I believe you have a slide down there through which you can bypass the dam if you're floating down the river. So you have this like almost like a waterfall effect. So I mean, that would be pleasant to do while you're floating down the river. We are at the historic Saloon. We are at the historic Phoenix Saloon here in downtown Braunfels. Legend has it that people used to hold badger fights in this saloon, and they used to have a talking parrot. They used to urge people to pay their bills. Pretty historic place to be in. I mean, you can really kind of sense this whole like Old West vibe. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tour of New Braunfels here in Texas. Totally worth a visit if you're in Central Texas around the San Antonio area. I really give this an A, solid A, for so many things that you can do here, for the history and culture. It really is an amazing place to visit here in Texas, especially if you really want to get into that kind of like cultural, authentic American vibe. Remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It keeps us growing this amazing community of travelers, ramblers, and rovers just like yourself. So until our next adventure, see you later, amigos. Adios.